Can you hear us, Sarah?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Perfect.
Good evening. I'd like to call our December 11th, 2025 West Fargo Library Board meeting to order. We'll first take attendance. Robin?
Here.
Tony is gone. Tyler?
Here.
Sarah?
Here.
And I am here. Welcome. First on the agenda, we're looking to approve the order of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Any public comment? I didn't see any come through.
Nope, none.
Okay, we'll move to our consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes from November and the approval of financial reports. So we're looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, we're going to jump into our new business. We do not have any old business, so we'll move into the adoption of the City of West Fargo Employee Handbook. And we have a couple attachments there. And so I don't know which one we'll start with.
I'll just pull up the,
I like the 12-page document rather than the 240-page document.
I'll pull up
But
the presentation that we have from city administration here. Attached was a very lengthy document for you. So what we've put together is 17 policies that City Commission has approved. Our library board has already approved policy 101 earlier this year, and so we don't need to do that one. And then also included in that packet was what remains of the previous employee handbook from 2025. And the reason why the policy manual that was presented is so lengthy is because I wanted to make sure that the library board was given the opportunity to see the full compendium of policies that the City of West Fargo is operating under. I'm not sure that the library board was ever presented the full list of policies back when we just started using city HR and financial services. And so I wanted to make sure that was like in the minutes, and the board had, the opportunity to acknowledge that full list of policies. So I'll turn it over to Senior Director Nick Lee, who can go through some of the policies and answer your questions.
Good evening, board members. I'm Nick Lee, Senior Director of Administrative Services. When I was thinking about this, I thought it best to maybe give you a little background on what happened in 2025 with these policies. If you recall, maybe you don't, we had a policy manual for 2020, the 2025 policy manual that was approved in 2024. And if you've ever read through that, a lot of things are mostly policy statements, a paragraph addressing ADA compliance and things like that. It was determined by administration that we needed a little more to our policies, a little more guidance, a little more process, not procedure necessarily, but just a little bit more. So we used the same company that the police department did when they had the same kind of process a number of years ago now, called Lexipol, and their product of KMS. Now what they provided services, they actually had somebody on, they didn't come on site, through Zoom, who consulted with us. They have a whole myriad of policies, kind of boilerplate policies. And so we took those policies, which have all been vetted through their legal team for federal compliance, which helps a lot in like the ADA ones, but we also, when needed, would send that to our lawyer as well. So what we do is we take those policy statements and kind of marry them to to these boilerplate statements. So you kind of notice that there's no documentation of red lines like we would do today, where we would cross one out and put it in there. This whole process really didn't allow for that. It was kind of a mishmash of two different things going together. So over the course of the year, the intention obviously was to get through all of them, through different happenings and whatnot. We didn't quite get all of them. That's why you'll see that addendum that is basically the policy statements from the 2025 manual that got just appended to the 2026 Lexipol manual. So as I go through these, not a lot has changed in the sense that we didn't change the intention, but we might have taken direction that has always happened and put it into policies so that everyone had a place to reference it, kind of thing. I'm going to touch on each one just briefly for the most part. Please stop me if you want more information on any of them in particular. I am not the HR director, so I'm not as close as she was to all these, but I will answer them as best I can.
Nick, quick question for you.
Certainly.
So what, just to your own knowledge, can we deviate from what is in front of us today? Do we have any authority to and so that's number one. And then number two, has this document that we're looking at, the social media, the freedom of speech stuff, the ADA, has that already been approved by the city commission?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
that has been. For your first question there, you could in theory deviate. As you notice in that policy 101 that you guys had approved before, gives you the ability to, modify policies and have your own section and all that. You'd have to have, something put together to deviate to. But yes,
Okay.
you guys have that ability.
Thank you.
No problem. So just, again, I'm just going to go through pretty quickly. Policy 101 just establishes this new process of the manual. We can add things mid-year as they come about. There's an acknowledgement process through this software, so every employee gets an email once something has been added so that they can acknowledge it, so we know that everyone has seen it and has had the ability anyway to read it, or the opportunity, I should say, to read it. So that it's a real short policy anyway. The ADA compliance, that was a paragraph on a pretty lengthy federal thing there. So we added a bunch of verbiage in there. We didn't really change anything from our part. It's all mostly guided by the Fed. So we added all that. It was a lot of Lexipol's words. We, again, had a very short social media sentence or two sentences before. Not a lot change on that. We just kind of formalized it into a larger policy. Emergency management program, that really kind of just refers people to our emergency management plan. Is just kind of people are going to naturally go to our policy manual to look at that, so that guides them on. It's very simple one. The encumbered funds carryover, that was authorizing the finance department to do some things that they can do or they were doing, but it's never really been put in writing kind of thing. It's if somebody's bought like a squad car and the delivery gets changed from end of year to the next year, it allows them to bring the funds over to the next year without going back to the commission, and especially when they've been waiting for months and the money's already been basically signed off on, it's got some very specific guidelines on how we can do it, but that's what the commission granted us approval on that, so that's helpful. Standard of conduct, now this is one, again, we added some more verbiage in there. There's not really an intention to change very much. It does get a little more, like I said, it focuses on some things, but there wasn't really an intention to crack down or anything. So we had a very, very brief, like, dress code section before, like, dress appropriately. So, I mean, they define that a little bit because that's very subjective. So, yeah. I'll just keep going here. Business gifts and gratuities, that was one that I believe that one was added because, well, I'm blanking on that one real quick. Oh. Oh, yeah, we had a pretty brief statement of conflict of interest, and we just beefed that up a little bit with some, again, boilerplate Lexipol language. It's one of those things that you'd hope would be pretty straightforward, but we've outlined some things for people, so some of the common things, too, we like to bring up to make sure that people know specifically that those are conflict. Subpoenas and court appearances, that one's completely new from Lexipol. We've never really had to address that too much. We don't have that much of those going on. I mean, the police do, and they have their own policy which lines up with this. So we put it in the greater city policy, if I recall that one correctly. The speech expression and social networking is mainly guides on, suggested best practices for your personal speech. You know, we can't, with freedom of speech and all, we can't tell you what to say and what not to say particularly, but we can give you some guidelines on it. So, I mean, a lot of that is best practices. And again, that was one where pretty much all of it came from Lexipol, and then we just fixed it for our area here. Performance evaluations, we had gone a few years without formal performance evaluations. That was one directive by the commission, that they wanted to make sure that steps were based on a positive performance evaluation. So we put that in and formalized it with this policy. And now we're getting into most of the leave policies, sick leave. There's a lot to these things, but, we didn't change the cap of $960 for carryover. We really didn't change much on it at all, actually. We had a pretty lengthy sick policy before, and we just put it into Lexipol. One of the things that may, and it's not even up there, but one of the things that kind of people weren't aware of that's been coming up from all this is that you can't change your type of accrual. Like if you go on vacation, you can't change it to sick if you get sick on vacation, and that's to play back on that cap, because people don't, they want to switch it up, and you're going to have to use the one that you've decided at the beginning, or scheduled, let's say. Family medical leave, that was a big one. We had a pretty lengthy family medical leave policy. The new one is also pretty in-depth. I believe that's the one that did we have that one vetted through the lawyer?
I wasn't aware of that, but it's pretty standard black-and-white policy. In practice, we haven't changed how
Right. And
we operate.
but that's a federal one, so that was another opportunity to use the boilerplate one that Lexipol had and had their lawyers review for federal compliance, so we added that one. I know the military leave one we did send through the lawyer, because that's got, there's some things even on the state level that are open to a little interpretation, and we wanted to make sure we had all of our i's dotted and t's crossed, so that one, I don't believe that we change much on that one, we just got it into a full
Changed them on
policy.
what's known as a paid day. So before it was based on whatever your normal scheduled shift is. Well, some of the firefighters, for example, work 24-hour shifts. So 20 days times 24 hours is a lot of hours. So it refined, or it clearly laid out what constitutes a day for the 20-day calculation for hours. So it just makes it more clear. It did reduce some of the military paid time, because on the state level, we're required to provide paid military time up to 20 days. So it just clarified what's a day, basically, is the update. That was the big change there.
Right. Sure,
Oh.
I didn't hear what you just said, so.
right.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's one.
So I just, that's loud. I just explained the main change for the military policy. Through the state of North Dakota, public employees are entitled to 20 paid days of military time, up to 30 if they're mobilized, like they get deployed. And we just clarified what counts as a day for the different work schedules. So that's really the big change there. And one thing I wanted to mention on the sick leave that changed was we now prorate down if you're on unpaid time for the amount of accrual you get for sick leave and vacation. So that is new, starting in with the new Lexipol policy. So very rarely do people take unpaid time, but if they didn't have any leave and they were off for whatever reason, they would get a less accrual per pay period. Whereas before, if you worked at any point in the pay period, you get the full accrual. This is now by per hour worked or leave used. So, but very rarely does anybody get prorated down, but there is times it does happen, so.
So, thank you, Nick, and I didn't catch your name?
Nathan, HR manager.
Nathan, okay, nice to meet you. So, I'm just curious, a couple questions. This is just for my insight. I don't have a dog in the fight, right, at all with this, and I don't think that I recommend any changes anyways. But so, like, for me, so I'm a public employee, right? If I leave on like the 15th of the month, I would get a full sick day leave accrual and a full annual leave accrual. So you're saying that this changes that a little bit. If I left on the 15th, I get a percentage of that?
You're talking about payouts?
Yeah.
Yeah, accrual, what he's talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, we had times where people would take paid or unpaid leave for a month,
Okay.
and as they aren't working that whole month, they're still accruing time.
Oh, got it.
And that was kind of just how the system had to work at one point, and we changed it so it's based on hours worked is what you're accruing, and since they're not working any hours, they're not accruing, right?
Yep, yep, exactly.
Roughly.
A good example to demonstrate that is if somebody starts, okay, sorry. A good example to demonstrate what this change is if somebody starts in the middle of a pay period, like their first day as a new employee, prior to this policy, they would get the full accrual. Well, now they're only going to have 40 hours in the pay period, so they would have to accrual. So, or if they, end employment on a Tuesday, they will not work the rest of that week, so they'll have less hours in the pay period. The system will give them a lesser accrual for that pay period. So that's another part of it.
Interesting, okay. And then the other question, thank you for that answer, and then the birth or placement of a child, so is that 12 weeks of paternity or maternity leave, is that in addition to your annual leave and sick leave, or is it, do you take annual leave or sick leave to engage in those 12 weeks? Do you know?
So we don't have paid paternity leave as far as I'm aware, and that's referring to, are you under the FMLA policy?
Yeah, 418.4.2?
Yeah, so so FMLA isn't paid time, it's just a protection for your job. So say you have a childbirth,
Yep.
you could take off 3 weeks, or, there's a whole approval process you go through with HR, but say you were granted 3 weeks of FMLA, that's not paid time, you would still need to use your sick or vacation or personal or comp if you're hourly,
Got it.
to cover that time. So it's just a federal law to protect your job.
For sure, for sure. Okay, great. Those are the only questions I've had so far.
And some of those procedural things are because, in addition to switching softwares for these policy manuals, we also switched softwares for payroll this year, and we have a little different setup. So some of these things we weren't able to do before that we're able to do now. So that's why some of the change anyway. If we want to just continue on, personal leave, we still give 2 days, nothing's really changed there. Vacation leave, all the accrual rates, I believe, are the same for everyone except for firemen. I think they rounded it to the quarter hour where it wasn't rounded before, and that was another necessity from our system. Overtime and comp time policy, this is especially with the new taxing, no taxes on overtime is the headline anyway. There's a lot more to it than that. We went through this one pretty fine tooth comb on here to make sure this one was right. Most of it's federal with overtime and comp time. The police and fire, they've got shifts where it's not true to the 80-hour work week for their overtime. Just some of that was laid out a little better than it was in the old, couple paragraph policy that we had before. Which brings us to the holiday policy, and we didn't change any of the holidays, so that one was pretty easy too. But if you got any questions about any of the other ones, we did provide the whole document because that was everything, so hopefully you had a chance to skim through that a little bit. But if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, that's all I had.
I have some systems questions, so it's not policy,
No problem.
but wanting to make sure, so as we look at the Lexipol system.
Yep.
And so we're adopting these common policies across the city of West Fargo. Are there policies that if we chose as a library to adopt? And not saying any of these general ones, but a specific library one, we adopt it, does it go through a similar process with the commission?
If it's regarding your chapter, because that was, I believe, the intent to give you your own chapter that's
Okay.
just for the library, it would be under your purview. We would, if there was a related one in the main, we've signed, we all signed that 101, which gives us the ability to change little things that don't have to do with the whole intent. And we probably put a reference for the library to say, hey, reference this one for library members. So I don't believe that there'd be any need by the city to make any
Sure.
approvals on that.
No, and I'm speaking more probably from the library side, making sure that we still have access to, Because part of our role as a board
Mhm.
is really to look at policy and to adopt and follow policy. And so it's an interesting kind of situation that we have here, where you have two boards really looking at and approving policy.
Yep.
So how will that work? So if, and I'm not projecting anything here, but if we were to not approve certain policies, but the commission has,
Right.
what does that look like?
Well, and this is just my guess at this point, since it hasn't happened, it'd be, you would have, however you would amend the policy, you'd put it into your chapter. We would approve our chapter, and then we'd put something at the bottom saying for library members, refer to chapter, your chapter, and then the policy number.
And then, so for each time that the commission adopts policies, what's the timing that then it comes to us for adoption?
Should be the next one,
Okay.
you know, the next available meeting, because once we got it adopted, it's ready to go in the Lexipol. And that is also procedurally a little, something that we had struggled with at the end here at the turnover. We were doing some things in Word,
Yeah.
and then it wasn't actually even getting the appropriate number on it when the commission saw it. But now, through a little more use, you know, we would mock everything up, for brand-new ones, I'm saying, we'd mock everything up right in Lexipol so that it would be an exact copy of what would be released instead of a Word document in different formatting and with a made-up number kind of thing.
Is there a risk of if approving like the entire city of West Fargo policy manual, like the unintended delegation of future policy control?
If you, reading that 101, you don't want to approve all of them, and I think that was part of the motion, right?
Yeah.
You want to approve the ones, because part of 101 was that if the board ever approves it, then it can't be overridden with administration. So like the flag policy, we don't want the board approving that, or else something changes and then Dustin's not able to change a simple policy like that because they would obviously supersede him. So yeah, that's what we're asking today, is just to approve the ones that we
Okay.
presented and then acknowledge the other ones.
Jenna, do you anticipate any struggles with the current library staff and these policies? Or how, maybe, not even just staff, but staff and then operations of the library with these policies that are currently on the table? And the answer can be no.
No, I mean, you know, certainly I'm sure, you know, staff want more vacation
Well,
time and
yeah.
more holidays and things like
Right.
that. But in general, I think, no. Certainly to libraries, library staff are also, we're very cognizant about First Amendment rights. So I think if anything, any policies dealing with those particular things, that's what staff are going to pay attention to the most. My staff have also really looked at like the ADA-related things because they care a lot about people having access. And
Absolutely.
so those are things that are, you know, our staff
Like the ADA
about.
is a great example because at times maybe the building that the library's in is not always ADA compliant. Could it be a benefit then, moving forward? Like, it's an interesting situation because it's not a city building.
Yeah.
Right? But like making sure that it continues to remain in ADA compliance, and having maybe a city policy to work with the school district on.
Yep, I would hope so.
Right?
Yeah. Overall, I would say I don't have any major concerns
Okay.
with this suite of policies.
Okay.
Jenna, so there is at PERS right now, we're digesting something called the WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines for ADA. And it's this behemoth ruling, you've heard of it, right? And it's like really hard to implement. It's very expensive to implement because all the processes and all the technology is really expensive. I was going to admit, I didn't read through everything here. Is that incorporated into this yet? Or is that kind of like a down the road? Or was that in the first policy that we approved?
Are you talking about like the accessibility requirements for like digital access?
Yep.
Yeah. That is incorporated into this.
Okay.
And we do have language about who the point person is for the city.
Okay.
For those types of things. I will say that a lot of work has been done already. And I actually just talked to our communications person for the library about it yesterday. And on Monday, I had a statewide meeting where we discussed just like statewide library resources and where things are at. So ton of work has been done already, and I feel like we're in a good place.
Cool. Yeah, because my understanding is, right, you want to be able to click a button and you just want to be able to hear it, right? If you're visually impaired or, whatever.
Hear it or see it or have it work with your accessibility devices or, yep.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and then the other thing you've already touched on, kind of with your question, was I could see during the legislative sessions, certain bills being very controversial and people having opinions. Do you think what is in here adequately, you feel good about it, obviously, for the employees and what they can post and the disclaimers that it's not the opinion of the city or the library? Is that essentially how, feel good with it? Feel good with it?
Yeah, I
Just
think
because-
the gist of what the policies are saying is we're still enabling employees to exercise their First Amendment rights. We're putting some guardrails in there by saying we don't want you representing the city in your opinions unless you are authorized by the city to do so. Like occasionally the mayor or like a senior director or somebody will be like presenting this, information for a meeting or something. And certainly last session, I wrote in, but I checked in with the board first to make sure, is this okay?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, because at
Yeah.
times if there's bills that are coming out of legislation that we do, there could be staff members writing in opposition or in favor, but from their work standpoint and not even a personal standpoint. And that still is covered.
Yeah, I mean, I think do you want to chime in?
Basically, you just need to kind of state that, are you speaking for the city, or are you speaking for yourself? That was a big part of it.
But at times for legislation, they are speaking for the city. They are speaking for the library.
Right.
Right.
And we've taken.
Exactly.
And we've taken, I've made motions at a board meeting that we support or we do not support this bill. And so not that that's giving a directive towards the staff, but it's also stating, here's where we lie with a topic.
Right,
Okay.
yeah,
I want staff to feel supported
yeah,
as we move forward.
right. But I guess the point being that we would want a unified message, I think,
Well,
or not a contradictory message coming
sure.
from a variety.
That
you know.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, anyway,
No, you're good.
yeah.
Are there other questions? Robin? Sarah?
You had asked my question.
Okay.
So,
Good. And in looking at this is an action item. Do we need to, when we make a motion, do we need to include all the individual numbers? Or can we make a motion that we're approving all that's listed on this document? What's most appropriate?
I think you can do all that's listed
Okay.
in the document.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are looking for a motion. Today, we seek a motion to approve the following listed policies within that document that are new or updated.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions?
Jenna, one last question.
Yep.
Okay, so we do, just for my knowledge, we do take official West Fargo Public Library stances on policy bills concerning libraries sometimes? Okay,
We have a history of that, yes.
okay, sounds good, thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any additional questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Did you want to acknowledge the full suite of policies as well?
What now?
Did you
Sorry.
want to acknowledge the full suite of policies?
In terms of going through them? No,
Like,
I'm sorry.
so we approved the 17.
Mhm.
That was the.
Do we
did
need
want
to-
acknowledge
do we need
the
to-
full City of West Fargo?
Adopt the handbook?
policy amendment?
Well, that wasn't part of the action item, but it can be. Is that what you're saying? It can be?
It was part of the recommend.
I'm sorry. It was part of the recommended verbal, yeah. Oh, and acknowledge the entire city of Paul, got it. So with
Up
your,
to the board.
with your motion, do you want to make either, do you want a new motion or do you want an
That can be
amendment?
it can be a second, separate
Second,
motion.
Yeah, it's just the second part.
Yeah.
Acknowledging the entire city of West Fargo policy manual.
Yeah, where am I missing that?
Well, so I'm looking at the PDF of
Got it.
the
Then I
work,
can
and
read
it's
that
right
first.
here.
Yes,
We want to make a motion here.
perfect. I will move to acknowledge, now that we've adopted the 17 policies you said today, in addition to the 101, that we acknowledge as the board, the entire City of West Fargo policy manual.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions on this part? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Sorry. Any opposed, same sign? That second motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
All right, we have, discussion on the January meeting date?
Yes. So, we just handled a whole lot of business here. And anticipating that we won't have a lot for our January meeting, I would like to propose that we cancel our January meeting and instead just meet individually with all, that I meet individually with all of the board members and talk about, our new financial documents, if that's working for everybody, some of the reports that we have coming out for next year, if there's any changes that we want to make to our meetings and just see how things are going for everyone. So just kind of a check-in with all of the board members over the course of the month, and if that works.
Jenna, just one question on that. So the likelihood of the special session resulting in book bills is pretty low, I think. But if do special board meetings get called for library bills if they, I guess we could call a bill anyway.
Well, we've typically, if there's a library bill, or if there's a bill
Yep.
that gets put, and I don't think it would happen that quickly, but if there's something that comes up through legislation, we typically haven't had a special session. We typically have brought it here, whether it's individual conversations between board members
Okay.
to make a statement or to make a public comment is really what we've done, but we do that kind of individually. But we haven't had a special session.
Okay.
We have called special meetings in the past for different things, but I will say I haven't heard anything through the grapevine about anything coming up.
Cool.
I would be agreeable to then having meetings individually between you and the board members and not having a formal meeting.
Okay.
Do I see head nods? Sarah, I can't see you. Do you need?
I'm nodding my head yes.
Okay. Perfect. Do you need formal action on that? Or are we good?
I don't think we need
Okay.
formal action on that.
I saw head nods. And then will you communicate with Tony?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And lastly then, thank you. And lastly then, we have our director's report.
Oh, and of course it's at
Hold on.
the end. All right, thank you, board. So, as far as just a financial update, we are 83% expended through November. So, we had an open position for an extended period of time. So we're going to end the year with being a little under budget for the library. That is not a bad thing. As far as our satellite library, in November, if you took a look at our impact report, which was attached, or any of the charts I have coming up here, you'll see with our door count and our circulation, everything in November generally takes a dip. This is just the way that all of our statistics tend to go. It's something that happens every year. And so when you see that little drop off on there, that's normal and expected. But we made 10 library cards. The door count was over 300, and physical item circulation was 459. At our main library, we had over 10,000 items circulated, over 4,000 people through the door, and 120 library cards made. So here's a better look at, in total, you can kind of follow that chart there. And see that overall, our circulation in November was up from last year. It's been interesting to see that our electronic circulation has remained really steady all year. We did have that kind of little blip in the beginning of the year. We discontinued Hoopla in May. And then things really started evening out after that. We started investing a little more heavily in our Libby collection after we discontinued Hoopla to offer more access at a steadier rate to our e-materials through that platform. And you can see the numbers are really high, 2025 as compared to 2024. Door count looks pretty good, but again, there's that whoop, that drop off in November. It gets cold and everybody just starts staying home. But that's where that electronic collection really starts to shine. Meeting room usage is something that I wanted to talk about. We changed how we are managing meeting rooms at the satellite here. If they are not reserved, we're letting patrons just walk in and use them on like a first come, first served basis and skip filling out the paperwork. So this is going to look like a drop in our statistics for meeting room usage, but I can tell you that they are being used more than ever. We don't have tables for people to just walk in and use because that space is much smaller. And so it was a complaint that people would come in and want to sit down and work on their taxes or, spread homework out to work on, and we just didn't really have a place to do that there. It was kind of a burden to have to fill out a form to use a table. And so we just decided, just open the doors, walk in and use a room. But if you want to reserve a room to make sure that you have a room, that's what we're gonna count as that meeting room reserve statistic. So that's kind of that change there. We might modify that a little bit going forward, but currently that's what's happening in that space. So we have a little bit of fluctuation there. For our technical services team, they've been very busy. They just updated a whole bunch of the international travel guides. These are actually pretty popular, but they get out of date pretty fast. And the previous copies that we had in the collection were primarily from 2018 and 2019. So those have been refreshed. We still have some coming in that are getting labels on and put on the shelves right now. So as people are planning those dream trips, we've got brand new travel guides on the shelf for you to check out. And our tech services staff has been assisting with an inventory project of the library collection. And we just added 475 new items to the collection in November. So busy, busy. I'm particularly excited about, we have launch pads. They are tablets that are pre-programmed with educational games and activities for all ages, really. Children through seniors, and English language learners as well. We just totally refreshed that collection. They are working on being cataloged right now, and so those are super popular, and those should be rolling out pretty soon.
Jenna, quick question on that. If somebody walks into the library and wants technical services, do they just go to the desk and ask for the technical services person?
Technical services refers to the people that do like our cataloging and processing of materials.
Okay.
So it's kind of library jargon for the kind of back of house folks that are getting everything ready to go and put out in the library.
Okay, boots on the ground, got it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Youth programs has been super busy as usual. We just had an open play day with Legos and games that was a hit. The room was always busy. Our teen area upstairs has been putting some kind of passive activities on the wall, asking different questions, and then putting out some craft activities. They've got some Zentangles crafts out there, and they've been asking some different questions to try to engage teens as they come in and hang out in that space. We have a lot of teens that come in and work on homework and stuff after school, so we're just kind of trying to provide some little brain break kind of activities for them while they're in there. We also had a Wicked fan party for kids and families. They had fun doing a whole bunch of different crafts and activities. They made bracelets and crowns, played games. There was a photo booth, lots of pink and green everywhere in the library. At our Crafternoon program, we had almost 50 people being creative with fall-themed craft projects. And recently, we had 2 third-grade classes from Trinity Elementary School at our satellite library here. They were on a tour of City Hall, and they also came through the satellite as well to learn about what the library has to offer and how to get a library card. Adult Services just had another puzzle-off competition. These are intense competitions. I think it was 45 minutes I heard, to do this 500-piece puzzle. It's intense. And they have so much fun. We have one team that's been winning for a while, and they did not win this time. We had a new team take the crown, so that was pretty fun. Adult Services also just packed the room for a Trolls presentation from the Historical and Cultural Society of Clay County. Marcus Krieger came over, and this was the last program of the One Book, One Community program. So they totally filled the room. I was hoping to go in there and watch it too, but there was no room left. So that was really fun. People from all over the valley came to watch that program. So trolls are apparently very popular. And of course, the Monday matinees continue to be really popular. We have been exceeding capacity in that space again, so we're really excited that starting next month, we will be here in the commission chambers for the Monday matinee movies. And so to have that more accessible space, greater capacity for the room, it's just going to be, yeah, we don't want to turn people away from our programs, so looking forward to that. A few kind of special programs that we have going on right now is our Winter Reading Challenge. This is open for all ages. We already have 107 participants signed up. The goal is to read 15 hours. So for every 30 minutes that are logged, and you can participate either on paper or on the Beanstack app, you get to add a snowflake to our displays in the library. So we already have a ton of these snowflakes hung up on the walls, decorating the library. It is so cute. If you haven't been by the library, you need to stop in and check it out. And that is going on now through January 11th. Also, there are these, we have a couple pictures on here. So there's the pigeon from Mo Willems, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. And then there's a Clifford snowman here too, but there are lots of these snowmen featuring popular children's book characters decorating the library. Our very talented youth services department, Sarah Davis and August created these, and they're absolutely adorable. Please come check them out. Also, our 17th annual Mitten Tree, I can't believe this has gone on for 17 years already, is happening right now. We're collecting winter gear for West Fargo children in need. That's going on now through January 10th at both of our library locations. So hats, scarves, boots, snow pants, coats, all of it, we're collecting it. It gets distributed through the schools to kids that need those things. And then, for the board members that are here, I handed one out to you when you came in. We have library superfan stamp cards. They have 6 activities on each of these cards. This is rolling out next week, but I expect that our library board members will be our first superfans. And this is in collaboration with the Friends of the West Fargo Public Library. So if you do each of these 6 activities, you will get your name in a drawing for some pretty fabulous prizes. And then you will also get a certified library superfan sticker, which I want the sticker. I want the sticker. Very cute. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, if there are any questions from the board.
Any questions? Thanks for the great update again.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Okay, we have come to the end of our agenda. Looking for a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor to close out our time, say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. See you in February.